Hey YouTube, Poopslag here, and this is Frog Finder, an open source puzzle game I'm making in Godot. Source code's linked below if you want to check out how it works. But the reason I'm talking about Frog Finder and not TurboFat this month is I had about 3 months worth of refactoring and cleanup type tasks to do on TurboFat. I also had to write the storyboard for the upcoming chapter and sketch out some stuff, and there were a few little bug fixes, but overall, none of that was all that interesting to talk about in a devlog. So I thought I'd take this time to talk about the work I've been doing on Thursdays, which is that every Thursday I've been setting aside 1 day a week for Frog Finder development, and it's coming along a little bit, so I wanted to show some of it off. So check it out. So as far as the TurboFat stuff I did this month, I caught up on 3 months worth of like cleaning and delinting and refactoring that I was supposed to do. For example, I saw a video on somebody else using scene transitions, which they did with an autoload singleton, and I realized that was way more clever than my approach. So I sort of copied their approach, and I love it so much. I also fixed a bug where I noticed when you lost your last life in a puzzle, it actually gave you one life you were not supposed to have. So I noticed a few little things like that that I fixed here and there. But most of it was spent on storyboarding and world design for the upcoming Poke Desert chapter, which has these chocolate dipped cacti and cute marshmallow cow skulls. And overall, it's like a big desert, but delicious. So I've started sketching out how that's going to look, and I storyboarded the entire story of what I wanted everybody to say, which is honestly quite a bit of work, but that's all done. Now I just get to draw and animate and think of cool gameplay mechanics, so next month will be fun. So Frog Finder is a game I made in 3 days for Terry Kavanaugh's Stop Waiting for Godot game jam. And the way it works is you see a grid of cards, which you can click to turn them over. And some of them have frogs, but most of them have something else, including sharks, which bite your finger and you lose a life. So you don't want to find the sharks. And at first it seems random, but as you play the levels over and over, you start realizing patterns. Like this level, for example, all the lizards and frogs fit into sort of a Sudoku grid. So when you're looking for the frog, you should never click the same row or column or group of 6 as a lizard. And eventually, if you keep doing that, you'll find the frog wherever it is every time. So it becomes a very trivial level, but there's a lot of different levels, and the game doesn't tell you any of the rules, so figuring out the rules is the whole point and kind of a lot of fun. I really have fun playing this game and watching people's reactions to it. So after the game jam, I had ideas for a ton of new puzzles I wanted to add. So I added a fruit maze level where you have to solve a maze inside this little hex grid, but it only leads you to a fruit, and then you have to remember where that fruit was to solve the level. And I added this pattern memory where it just shows you a grid of here's all the places you shouldn't click, and you click the other ones and you eventually find a frog. And these are both pretty simple, but the problem was now I had like a 6th and a 7th level, and if I kept adding more to where I had like 20 or 30 levels, these are just given to the player randomly. So when you play a game, you might not see the same puzzle twice for like an hour. So you just keep seeing new puzzles and not knowing how anything works. And I knew that wouldn't be fun. So I had to think of how to solve this problem where I could have a ton of different levels, but not bombard the player with 30 different levels the first time they play. So the core problem was just that Frog Finder had 7 puzzle types, but it served these up completely randomly, and I needed to constrain them so that new players would only see a few of them. And I thought just grouping them in worlds was easy enough. When you're in World 1, maybe you'll only see puzzles A, B, and C, and then once you get to World 2, it might bring back puzzle A, but also give you puzzles D, E, and F or something. So you just see a few at a time. And that's what I implemented. You can see I got these left and right arrows for paging through the different worlds you've unlocked, and you don't unlock a new world until you finish the last level in that world. So I decided each world would be broken up into 3 missions, and each mission would be limited to only a few puzzle types. So for example, this first world, you can see 1-1, the first mission of the first world, has only the Froggo and Maze levels. And not only that, but that minus at the end means it only gives you the easier versions of those levels. The third mission is the trial mission where you have to complete it to progress, and it gives you 5 different puzzle types. Froggo and Maze, it gives you the regular versions of those now, not just the easy ones like the intermediate difficulties, and it even mixes up Secret Collect, a mission that it didn't teach you anything about, so you haven't been trained on it, but it only gives you the really easy version of that mission. So that's what the minus means. It's basically like plus is harder and minus is easier. And yeah, it follows that progression for the later missions. It introduces more levels, and sometimes it introduces something you've never seen before, but it always weans you onto it with a very easy variant. So I wanted all the worlds to feel pretty different. So they all have their own music and their own theme. This first world is school themed. You can see there's like a globe and a chalkboard and some middle decorations and stuff. But the buttons are also themed. So like the easy difficulty is this little beanie cap, and the middle difficulty is a graduation cap. And when you finish the levels, if you found all the frogs and stuff, then the frog will put on the graduation hat, have the diploma, and look all proud. But if the sharks find them instead, then they like bite your diploma and eat your hat and stuff. It's really adorable. I just like that even if the player loses, there's just a little cute surprise in store for them. So hopefully they don't get too bummed out. So for the Game Jam version of Frog Finder, after you found a frog or a shark, it took you to this results screen where on the easiest difficulty they were in the shape of like a triangle, and on the hardest they were in the shape of a big crown. But I wanted these to be themed according to the world you were in. So I have a school theme, and so the results are now in a mortarboard shape. It has a flat top on the shape, and then you have to sort of use your imagination, but it's there, I promise. And the way I implemented this is kind of cute, though. I have a little custom JSON format where you can see the top one is in the shape of a baseball cap. You see like the 3 and the 4 at the top of the cap, and then below that is the mortarboard, and then below that is a bow tie. And the numbers reflect the order in which your frogs will be uncovered as you find them. So that's what we did with Frog Finder lately. We added a bunch of these new levels and then grouped them into worlds so the player's not overwhelmed at the start. And I wanted to add these cute little dancing intermissions where a frog would come out and tell you how good a job you did. Didn't get to that yet, but that's coming. But this next month, I also want to work on TurboFad's cutscenes for this new chapter, putting in the environment and all these scorching sands and the crowds and the cacti. So I got to do a lot of art stuff and a little bit of cutscene stuff. And if that doesn't take too long, I'd love to also start with some of the puzzle mechanics I have in mind. I wanted to have something like a moose or a shark that'll like eat pieces that drop and sort of, I think, be helpful, but maybe a little annoying too. That's sort of the idea. If you want to try Frog Finder or TurboFad, they're actually both free on itch.io. But yeah, Frog Finder is a game I was showing off, so it's there. It's just the Game Jam version for now, but I'll beef it out as I add more features. So hope you'll try it out. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next month. Later.